Dan Ives, Managing Director and Senior Equity Research Analyst at Wedbush Securities, is with us today. A longtime Tesla bull, he's the only Tesla analyst who had a team member actually experience Tesla's RoboTaxi service firsthand. He says Tesla's $1 trillion autonomous journey and AI story has now officially begun. Welcome, Dan. Thank you for joining me today.
Great to be here. It's so great to be here. Well, what a huge week for Tesla and for you personally, right? In terms of so much success you had from all the experience down in Austin.
Yeah, it was great. And I had your team member, Anish, join me for two rides. It was great. Like, you really needed to obviously be there, physically touch it, know what it feels like. And Anish was blown away. And I saw your write-up about it afterwards, and it's very, very detailed. Everything about the interior, the apps, the ride, of course. So just start off with Tesla launched RoboTaxi. They did the launch, small number, geography, but how big of a significance of a launch is this?
Also, I mean, I rode in some of the early Waymos too, right? So just,
Hmm.
from a comparative perspective, I mean, look, I thought going in, it was going to be like a lot of sort of bumps in the road and some different issues you'd hit, typical of like a geofence sort of early rollout. It was the opposite. I mean, from the 2 15-minute rides that we did with you, I mean, I thought it was a 10 out of 10 in terms of like smooth maneuverability, cars on each side of the street, anything that came across, the turn lanes, the safety, the speed, the maneuverability experience. So that's why, you know, look, this is something that's always going to get scrutinized because it's Tesla. So the haters are going to look for anything. I mean, Herbert, to me, like, I just think as a launch, it's been
Hmm.
massively successful. And now the geofence area would just continue to expand.
Have you been speaking to other analysts? And I mean, I did a show where I showed a bunch of them on what they're saying. Most of them are very positive. Do you get a sense of how do they view this?
Yeah. I tell you, investors are super interested to see our experience, in terms of, with what we saw with the niche. But I will say, I think sentiment, many are skeptical, right? I
Still?
think many
Hmm.
investors are like, oh, I think still, look, it goes back to, and me and you have talked about Alexandria and Jeff, for many years. There's such skepticism. It's almost like the bar is so much higher for Tesla than any other company. And I think that actually creates just more of the opportunity, in my opinion, because as investors see it themselves, and as this gets scaled, not just outside Austin, but across what I believe is going to be 20, 25 cities next year, that's where they'll prove it one by one.
Okay. So you think that that's still the way the analysts will look at it, is prove, show me. And then, they'll just keep opening up their thing. Oh, it's only one city. We need another city. What is the milestone do you think that they do need to hit before you think that people realize this is real and they're going to win or have a big share?
Yeah. I mean, like, first off, I think the regulatory landscape, because it's going to be clearly, you're going to see an accelerated regulatory landscape from a federal perspective. So I think as more of that comes out
Hmm.
and more goes toward the federal versus the state, that's something investors can't deny because that just means autonomous is going to continue, it's going to accelerate. And I believe it's Tesla, but even Waymo and others in terms of that roadmap. I think the thing that will be like the aha moment
Hmm.
is as it gets scaled to a city outside of Austin.
Okay.
I think because
So,
Austin's viewed as kind of like such like a home city for Tesla and Musk, just given everything there. I
yeah.
think once it starts to scale out to just two, three, four cities, that's where I think it all starts to change because investors then start to recognize, like, look, this is not just some experiment in Austin. This is something that can get scaled what I believe is ultimately across the United States and eventually around the world.
Yeah. And then you've continued to have an outperform 500 or price target. So was that you didn't make a change just because of this launch? Is there something that you would need to see before you change that, or is this just, hey, this is what I was expecting and we're on track?
I think it exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
So my view is like when I talk about 2,600,000,000 or higher, like that to me, like look, 500 I continue to view as conservative
Okay.
relative to the physical. See, my view is physical AI.
Right.
The two best physical AI plays in the market are NVIDIA and Tesla. I don't believe any of that valuation is factored in to the story today. Optimus, remember, we're not even factoring Optimus into the 2 trillion because my view there is like as they start to scale it and that starts to get the point, then I think that becomes just a whole nother leg to the story. And you could argue, you could argue that could be bigger than even autonomous, right? And I know you've talked about that.
Yeah.
So I just think there's so many growth levers with this story that investors are not appreciating.
Yeah. Okay. So you did view this as better than you expected. What was the best parts of the what you saw there, the service that you thought was
Yeah.
better than expected? Yeah.
Well, first of all, I thought, and like, and I saw a bunch of your videos and a bunch of them
Mhm.
rides. I thought the user experience and getting a glimpse of what it's going to look like with RoboTaxis talking to each other, customized experience for anyone that gets in a RoboTaxi, music, their
Yeah.
Netflix, that all their. So I think that was something where right away I started to like I wasn't thinking in that way in terms of like, okay, just you compare that experience to a typical car or an Uber, dramatically different. Two, I just think coming out of the gates, I don't think you could ask for a more smoother experience relative to
Yeah.
safety,
Right.
maneuverability, and ultimately what I view is like when you compare it to a Waymo, and we'll see as the geofence area expands. I mean, I think it's night and day relative to where Waymo was in those early days in some of Scottsdale and LA and some of the other cities.
Yeah, I so much of the experience, even though like we've talked about it, we knew it was happening, but unless you actually do it, get in there,
I know.
and then I know people are making fun of me, like I walk in and that's my music playing. What's that? That's my music, and it's like, yeah, that happens already in my regular text Tesla, but to walk in there and that's my feeling, just that little bit of that. This is a stranger's car picking me up, and it's my music,
Well, I
my
think that
apps,
was the
my
thing.
logins.
I think
Yeah,
like on your stream in particular, I think it resonated with so many people that were watching. I think also investors that were watching, because that's the reality of
yeah,
the experience. And I just continue to kind of to look. It's like, well, dude, this we're talking about day one, day two. Where are we in 3 months, 6 months? How many cities? How does this get deployed? How quickly? And then ultimately, like when cyber cabs actually,
yeah.
that to me is the real bit, because I could tell you like all the conversations I've been having, everyone's like, wait, like even skeptical. What about Waymo? Waymo's
Right.
ahead, and I just keep saying like, look, 4 cities,
Mm-hmm.
$230,000 cars. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about realistically scale and scope and what this is all going to look like.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. So, yeah, so Waymo just added another city, Atlanta, yesterday. So they're growing, but you are looking for growth. Like there was, I asked this question with a few folks today, saying, okay, what do you need to see come next that shows you that the ramp is going to happen sooner than most people expect? Like one of them said, well, if on June 28th, there's some
The
rumors
geofence.
that June 28th, the geofence could expand to include Giga Texas, for example. If that happens, as soon as literally, by the time this video might actually drop, would that be a signal for you that, boy, things are moving
Well, that's a
faster? Yeah.
huge signal. I think that's the thing. That's probably the thing that I've gotten asked most from like institutional investors about like how quickly the geofence that gets expanded because everyone's
Hmm.
focused. Let's just even talk about the stock, like the initial euphoria and maybe some of the sell off that we've seen the last few days because of maybe some of the articles. You know, if they're the left turn thing. So the point is like anything is going to be like way over scrutinized in my opinion here.
Yeah.
But it comes
Yeah.
down to like you expand the geofence area. That's the evidence that
Hmm.
they feel more successful, they feel more confident in expanding. And I think that is the first step to something that ultimately I think is the key to the whole story here.
So in terms of like Elon Musk and Tesla, right? For several months, it's interesting your story because obviously you're a longtime bull, and then I think in January, I'm getting mixed up now, but I know that you were that was last year, I think. Last year, January, you were very concerned about his behavior and, get the adults in the room. And then everything turned back again to normal sentiment change. And then again, earlier this year, he announced that he's leaving Doge. You were saying, hey, you got to get out of Doge. He finally did get out of Doge, get out of Doge. He finally did. Where are we today in terms of your sentiment about Elon? And it feels like he's back. It feels like he's actually
Yeah, I
focused.
think it's
Is that what you're thinking?
oh yeah, I think it's as good as I think we felt and I think many have felt in a long time.
Yeah.
Because look, to me, it all comes down to like, even if I go back to Doge and Trump administration, everything that happened, and remember, initially as a positive, right, having a front row seat, but then the whole point is like that took on a life of its own. And my whole thing is the biggest asset for Tesla is Musk,
Mm-hmm.
and him being laser focused on Tesla now, especially with autonomous and robotics RoboTaxi launch. Look, there's just a feeling, I think, from an investor perspective, and you've seen it, that like nothing can stop Tesla if Musk is full force driving these initiatives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you feel like you're happy now? You're saying that, okay, I see him back, I see him focused, or is there other
Oh no, I
wish
think
to, yeah.
he's laser focused, and I think
Yeah.
they've even been smart about like not doing like a major launch event for RoboTaxi and Austin. You know, obviously they invited a handful of people, but I think that was a smart move. You don't want to get ahead of the skis.
Yeah.
I think the safety piece. I think they're being very prudent and smart. And I even think like when you look at Musk, like on social media, and I think his behavior, this is like a focused individual
Yeah.
focused CEO, like in terms of how he's on. And I think that's just so important to the story because I just I just continue to view it as like this is such a pivotal time
Mm-hmm.
for Tesla and for Musk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he said as such as well. So earlier you were saying that you were okay. You just said it now. You're okay with a small, measured, cautious launch, but it's like this: damn if you do, damn if you don't. Today the media is attacking Tesla, saying, "Hey, too small, geofence. There's a safety monitor." Uh, doesn't mean anything. Actually means nothing. Come back to me and tell me once they've got no safety monitor. But you say that, but then others, yeah, felt like no, and then the media continues to just continue hammering Tesla, do it. Is there anything to address that? Is there any way to change that?
I mean, but first, I think they've gone about it exactly how you would hope.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like in other words, so I understand, the haters, and that's going to come out there from a Tesla perspective. But I think the proof is in the pudding as they expand geofence. So it's like, so let's just go back. Like, let's say you're skeptical. You're like, geofence area is small. Okay, now expand geofence area.
Right. Okay.
Okay, check that box.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's only in Austin. It's only in one, two more cities.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's I think that it's going to be like one by one expanding. Now, again, you're like when I view what's happening here is like you're always going to have the core believers and you're going to have the core haters no matter what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
really kind of it's the middle ground that
Yeah.
you're trying to reach. You're
Yeah.
trying to reach, especially from either from
Changing.
an
Yeah.
investor perspective. But here's the one thing I'd say: as an institutional investor, no one can miss the move of Tesla going from EV disruptive tech, some of the parts, energy to autonomous. Because it goes back to like, it's the same like that have missed the NVIDIA move
Yeah.
from a gaming company going to the best AI chip maker in the world. It's those that miss Microsoft going from Windows, Office to the core infrastructure and from a hyperscale perspective when it comes to AI. It goes back to like, it's like missing Netflix when they have that conference call going from CDs, mail
Yeah.
to streaming. No, so I'm just saying that's kind of how I compare this period
Yeah.
for Tesla.
Dan, what percentage of institutional analysts would you say are the folks who say, I will only invest once I see earnings growth, sequential quarter after quarter growth, earnings has to like hit the bottom line, versus others who will get ahead of it and say, oh, I can now see, okay, maybe they're not quite ready today, but let's say 5 months from now, they go, okay, actually, I see them expanding cities. I see them actually remove safety monitors. I'm ready to make my bet now ahead of earnings. How do you see what percentage?
That's a great question. I'd say historically it was probably 60 to 70% needed to
Mm-hmm.
see it. Numbers, okay. 30% were more the visionary and they'll focus on playing the future. I think because we're in a fourth industrial revolution
Mm.
and because everyone knows AI is real,
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
that's switched. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't view it as much of it. I actually view many investors want to believe, they don't want to miss it. They've, maybe in the past been skeptical and been proven wrong. And then also, I think there's a view of like, there's a growing view within the community where it's like eventually you're going to have like XAI and
Mm-hmm.
X and Tesla in one holding structure.
Do you
So
do you actually
no
believe that?
one
Do you
wants to
think that could
miss.
happen?
I believe the chance of that were 2% a year ago. The chance of
Mm-hmm.
that today are 30%
Okay.
today.
Yeah, I don't think so
Because
personally. Yeah.
I no, but at least, but I'm just trying to think from an investor perspective. It's like I don't want to miss
Yeah.
Tesla transforming into an AI play and miss that move. Because if I
Mm-hmm.
wait, to your point, if I wait for it to happen, then move.
Yeah. So the two parts of your note was the other part was that Tesla, it's the beginning of Tesla's AI story. So you said it's the beginning of autonomous story, but it's also the beginning of Tesla's AI story. So as an AI
Hmm?
company,
Yep.
right? Tesla's not been seen as an AI company, despite all of us saying, and NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang saying that Tesla's the leader in the AI, the physical AI, which is the most important part of AI, but people still say no. So when does the autonomous story and the AI is the AI story bigger because it includes robots, or is it's like a bigger category, or
Yeah.
is it it's like part of autonomy is just one part of it? You know, I mean, I'm trying to understand like, why are they two different things?
Yeah. I view autonomy I view autonomy as one part of the broader
Right.
AI story, which
Right.
ultimately includes robotics, optimit, and what I view as ultimately physical AI. So to me, and look, it's why I put in like my Ives AI 30.
Yeah.
I view Tesla as the most undervalued AI name in the market. Now, to some be like, well, how, based on earnings for Tesla, but I disagree. I view it as in that bucket when it comes to autonomous and physical AI. That's where they're going to be one of the biggest AI players in the world.
Yeah.
Autonomous is just the first step to them reaching that.
Okay. So yeah, first of all, congratulations. You launched the Ives AI 30. Congratulations. That is
Hmm?
the great move on your part.
Thank
An
you.
ETF looking at the top AI. And I'm assuming earlier you said that Nvidia and Tesla, was that your top holdings? Is Tesla the top? Is it Nvidia or, or
No,
you don't do
those are
rank
two
it?
of the top holders. There were two of the top holders. No, those are two of the top holdings, along with Microsoft, Oracle, Palantir, um, and those are all the 30 names that we put. What I view as kind of the second, third derivative beneficiaries of AI, because to me, it's all about you got to start to think now about where AI is going.
Hmm.
2 trillion over the next 3 years, and that's the whole goal of the AI 30.
And do you rank them? Like, do you have more money in one, the top holding versus the second holding and all that? Or is it
Yeah, yeah,
just here's the list? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and anyone could look and they could see, in terms of the rankings, in terms of our holdings relative to, it's all based off our research on the odds AI 30,
Yeah.
and we're over 200 million in the first few weeks. So I
Yeah.
think the reception, I think investors understand the
Yeah.
they understand
They're hungry for
our
AI.
research.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah. And they understand.
understand
Yeah.
how we view. Well, I think
Yeah.
they're hungry for AI and they're hungry for like ways to play it and to make sure like how do you do it but not miss out
Hmm.
and play all the different names.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Like the reason I asked even that question, I mean, it makes so much, it's so logical the way you explained or we understand it, which is okay, well, autonomy is just one part of the broader Tesla AI story, of course, right? But I guess the way I've seen what happened and what unfolded last year is everybody got excited about AI. And so they started wanting to invest in AI. Of course, the big leader is NVIDIA for that. So they do that. But then they would say Tesla's not an AI company. And yet they said, okay, well, show me first with autonomy. When in fact it's like, no, Tesla's the largest AI company in the world, of which autonomy is just one, and it's the first one to show up, and robotics going to follow soon. It is the biggest AI story, and you've been kind of saying that it's flipped for many people. For some reason, they can't understand that Tesla's an AI story because it's not an LLM.
Trust me. I
It's
mean,
like,
but again, but that's the whole point of the AI 30. It's
yeah,
about software, cybersecurity, autonomous robotics,
the actual things that
consumer,
actually,
meta, the
yeah,
Palantir,
yeah, yeah.
and data driven. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So, great autonomy is just launched. So you were telling me about why do still many analysts now change their story? They go and say, okay, first, many of them said, no, Tesla's not an AI company. Tesla's not a robotaxi company. They just do a lot of talk. Okay, now it's here. But now they'll say, yes, they are one, but not till 2040 or 2030. Like, why are they still so, like, they push everything? It's just because they don't want the stock to be
But her,
too high,
but Herbert,
you know?
but again, but those are Herbert. Those are the same. Like they're negative on Tom Brady coming out of Michigan, 6th round, 2000 draft.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Negative after the first ring,
Yeah, yeah.
second ring. He's not that good. They're at the bar saying he's not that good.
You're
Then after the third ring, and
right. Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I gotcha now. Yeah, yeah.
That's
This is the way it's gonna be. Yeah. Let's talk the
But
second part. Yeah,
that makes it that much better.
as an investor, get it early. So you still view it that way. We're still, like you said, right? We're early. Like one of your greatest quotes is like, it's midnight, still early in the night, like 9 o'clock at night or something of a party. It's still coming.
It's 10 p.m. in the AI party.
I was going to ask you,
That
what
goes
time is it
4
now?
a.m.
We're still at that.
10
Okay.
p.m. It
It's still 10
was
p.m.
9 p.m.
Yeah.
But now it's 10 p.m.
Okay. Well, I want to be with you when it gets to midnight and we'll celebrate. When are you, because again, I see you as at least understanding the story the best. You follow it and you're a bull, you get it. But you yourself have not added robots, and Optimus is here. Kathy Wood,
Mm-hmm.
they don't add it into their number of Morgan Stanley. They've done research on this. They've got their evaluation. They believe in it, but they won't add it into their evaluation until when will you do that?
I think as we start to see, as we get closer to production, and as we start to see, like in terms of even on the private side, you're starting to see real humanoid robots. I think we're getting closer to that in terms of that piece. But to me, it's all 2 trillion does include Optimus.
It does not include Optimus. So it's just like it's a massive
And
opportunity
it
without
speaks
it.
to what I view. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to wait until it's production, meaning to say that it's being produced and being useful work,
Or
right?
at least
Of course.
early production and the end user. Exactly.
But are you okay if it's only Tesla as a customer, not a third party?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So as long as you see them making robots at certain numbers, viable numbers, and then you see them actually doing work physically at the factories, then you'll start adding in
Because then the scale, and that could just be the beginning of where it could all go.
Okay, gotcha. What about Grok appearing? Elon just today said that Grok is already in the Optimus 3, the third design. What about Grok appearing in RoboTaxi, Grok appearing in robots? Does that show you again the AI story? Because now you've got physical AI
100%.
with, yeah.
Exactly. That's a part of the ecosystem and part of the Musk economy that I think is what separates Tesla from any other company.
What is your bullish? So if you said that 500 is that your conservative, and then 600 is your what?
The 500s are base case, 600s are bull case.
Gotcha. 600 is your bull case. Okay. Thank
And
you so much,
doesn't
Dan.
include Optimus.
Right. I know we've talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate your time. This is fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, and congrats on a great week for you and for everyone.
Oh, exactly. Appreciate it. Thanks, Dan. See everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.